Hey guys, welcome to your first video in Module 2, Week 2, where we're going to be talking about all things just subscriptions. We're going to be talking about the importance of asking questions, listening, and really just having like those detailed conversations. Today, we're really going to hone in on the conversations and the importance of them. So I can guarantee you probably don't want to hear this, but not everyone is going to have like an easy experience on plexus. Like they're either just going to be someone that struggles with consistency, like, and they will never admit it, but they're not really giving the products a chance because they can't get a routine down, which is, it happens. That's why you're there. You're there to walk them through it. They may struggle with some die-off symptoms. Um, Not everyone is going to have like this flawless journey, and it's your job to be their kind of shining light and guide in it all. So, fun fact, I would have very easily quit the products after probably honestly my first month because I wasn't noticing any changes. I wasn't really like, why am I spending money on this? Like I don't really feel any difference. And so when I went to quit to stop, my friend who had started me was like, no, 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 you have to give it more time. Like give it more time. And I was like, of course we were like, friends, so it was easier for her to like walk me through it, but she was like, listen, like this is why it's not working. You need to give it time. Just be willing to stay on it, for a little bit longer. It takes us, it takes 90 days for our bodies to start to like change inside. And so it wasn't until about like day 45 or 50 that I really noticed like changes happening. And then, as you guys know, these products completely changed my life. So if I didn't have that catalyst in my journey, which was my upline, like pushing me to push through the hard, convincing me that like I needed to stay on these products. She didn't just say, "Oh, I'm sorry you don't like them. This is how you shut your subscription off." No, she challenged me to give it time. And so this is kind of where I'm going to help you with those conversations. So it's very important to ask questions. It's very important to be following your follow-up system. But when someone says, like when you ask them how they're doing and they say good, don't let it stay at that. Ask them detailed questions. Ask them like, how do you like the taste of your Slim? Like, are you noticing any changes? How do you feel after you take the ProBio? Think of the products that they're taking and think about what they should be feeling and ask them, how are you sleeping? Like, think of the changes that should be coming on from the triplex and ask them if they're experiencing it yet. Um, and if there's someone that reaches out and they're like, hey, I'm not feeling a change. I don't want to continue on, and say maybe they've just started month 2. Okay. So this is where you're really going to dive in to the questions. You're going to ask them, okay, well, like, and honestly, this is where I would really encourage you to try to set up a phone call with them. Like, hey, can we set up a time to talk? Like, I really want to like get down to the bottom of this. Like, let's figure out what's going on. Let's try to figure out what's best for you. Try to get a way to talk to them like face to face. But if not, via messenger or voice memos, however you're going about it, ask them like, okay, like what's going on? Like, are you feeling like, tell me how you're feeling and ask them exactly. Let them tell you, okay, so you're not feeling any change. How is your water intake? Well, they may not be drinking enough water. If they are drinking enough water, great. Ask them how their eating habits have been. Okay, how are you truthfully eating like good? Like, are you eating maybe good 3 days a week and then binging on sugar the rest of the week? Because a lot of us do that, we don't realize it. Um, and of course, be empathetic about this, but get to the bottom of it. Maybe there's someone who drinks a little bit extra alcohol than needed. That's really tough on the gut microbiome. Like, get to the bottom of that. Maybe they eat a lot of processed foods. Maybe they are getting like zero sleep. Maybe there's someone that you're talking to, you're realizing like, oh, this lady's super stressed. Like she is struggling in life. Like this is why these products are taking a little bit extra time because her cortisol levels are through the roof, I'm sure. Maybe talk to her about that. Um, so you're going to ask questions. Sometimes people want to feel an immediate effect. And so a lot of times on our triplex, that does not happen because, like I've stated, it takes 90 days for the cells in our body to rebuild and to start feeling that change. So if you're talking to someone who you can start to like get the vibe like, okay, she's wanting to feel more energy like now, talk to them about active, okay? Talk to them about Metaburn. Metaburn is one of my most favorite products, you guys. Um, if there's someone who is like, I need to lose weight and I just haven't, talk to them about the reset. Maybe you didn't get them started on the reset and you're like, oh, I skipped the reset. Like I know, why didn't I think of the reset? Like, let's talk about the reset, Tina. Um, so that's a really great way to troubleshoot how to get them to keep their order at 100 PV, keep them moving in a direction where they're going to feel better wellness wise, and keep their subscription on for your business, right? Um, Now let's talk about if it's money. If they're like, I can't afford the $126 of what the triplex is. And I think our lowest price pack might be $115. I think it might be Slim and Metaburn. I should have looked into that. I didn't realize I was gonna like trickle into that. But anyways, maybe cost is a problem. That's when you can trickle back and say, okay, there's no way you can afford this. We're always going to recommend you try to get them to refer, because if they have that money coming back, that's going to make it a lot easier for them to keep ordering. But say there's someone that's like, I'm not going to refer anyone. I don't like talking to people. I don't want anyone to know about these products. However, I can't afford these products, but I do like them. That's when I think it's time to venture under the 100 PV and be like, okay, what can I do to get you on something that's going to, at least you're consuming a product, you're ordering every month, and I'm getting some points from it to help my business grow. You're still loving the products. And maybe, hey, when you get into a better financial position, you'll want to order again. Okay. So consider falling under 100 PV in those circumstances. Maybe they just want 2 bags of active. Maybe they just want the slim. Maybe they're just loving ProBio and BioCleanse. You never know. But that circumstance for me is kind of a last resort. But I want that person staying on the products, because I know that if they're staying on the products and loving it, when they do get in a better financial position, they'll be more open to adding on. And plus, I'm getting points from that for my business. Let's talk about postponing products. Say someone has not taken the products, you've been checking in, you're asking, they're like, yeah, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, I have all this product. You're like, what the heck, so and so? Hang on. You guys, I have very grumpy kids. Sorry, guys. Anyone who says you can't do this with a bunch of kids at home that are loud and crazy is lying to you, because I do it every day. I have no childcare, no one, so that is never a roadblock. You can do this with kids. Just make sure to give them lots of snacks on days that you're making videos. Okay, so I was talking about postponing. So say someone's like, I have all this extra product. You're like, we've been talking about this. You should have been taking it, but they maybe are not the best at routine, and they actually weren't. So for me, I always make sure they postpone out a month. And then I am on them. You're taking your products today. Did you take your products today? This is why you need to take your products today. You should have taken your products today. So then by the time it comes up for that order to go through again, they have finished up their order and they're ready to continue on. Those are the ones that you really have to babysit. But once you get them on the product and they learn a routine, they're usually good to go. You just have to kind of handhold them a little extra in the beginning. We would much rather them postpone their order, though. A lot of times they want to cancel, and you're like, let's not cancel. Do anything you can to avoid canceling. I explained that earlier in the video. But getting them to postpone so they can catch up, in my mind, is okay. You just have to make sure you don't just ghost them and expect them to continue taking them, because they're not. You need to check in and just say, hey, how did you enjoy your slim today? How did it, how did that probiotic BioCleanse go down tonight? Like anything you can think of. So that's my spiel on conversations around the products, getting your retention to be strong through relationships and addressing hiccups along the way.